Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so if today is your first time coming across my video, you're welcome. My name is Stella. Okay, so today we're going to be cutting and sewing this beautiful dress with a train. Okay, it's for a 7-year-old baby girl turning to 8. So let's jump right into the process. All right, so this is a pattern that I'll be working with. Now, if you go through my channel, you will see our basic bodies for children. Okay, now it's the same method. I'll just explain to us the little alterations I did. Okay, so her neck width is 3.5. That's for the front. Her neck width is 3.5 by 2.5. So neck width of 3.5 and 2.5 for the depth. That's for the front. Now for the back, same neck width of 3.5. Okay, now the depth, I just came up by 1 inch above the chest line. Okay, then I also increased her armhole. I came up by 0.5 on the armhole because this is a sleeveless dress, so we don't want the armhole to be very low. Okay, I did the same on the front, and that's it. um I added my allowance. This is my 0.5 allowance for joining, okay, the shoulder. This is my 0.5 as well. Okay, then I added my 0.5 joining allowance, okay, for the turning of the necklines, and that's it. And this is my zip allowance. Okay, now her half length is 12. Okay, now I have my 0.5 joining allowance, okay, to the lower part of the dress. And her chest round is 26. Her waist round, that's 26/4. Okay, so I just added my 1.5 sewing allowance, and then her waist round is 25. Okay, so this is the pattern we're going to be working with. Now these are the fabrics we'll be working with. Okay, so let's proceed. I'll pin this on this. Okay, so I'll pin the patterns on this fabric. Okay, and we'll use this to cut out for the upper part. Okay, and this is for the lower part. So let's go ahead and cut this one. Okay, so I've pinned down the patterns. Now it's time for us to cut out. Okay, so the patterns are ready. This is the back and this is the front. Okay, I'll also go ahead and cut out my lining. Okay, exactly. Now I'll cut out my lining, then we'll unpin so we can cut out the collar. Okay, so I've cut out my linings. Okay, this is the lining for the back and this is the lining for the front. Now let's go ahead and unpin. Okay, so I'll go ahead and unpin this. So I have unpinned the patterns. Now the next thing we'll do is to join them, okay, by the shoulder. Okay, so place it like so and join the shoulders together. Okay, so we're joining using that 0.5 allowance that we have on the shoulder. Okay, so I've joined. Now it's time for us to measure the neckline. Okay, so I'll go ahead and measure. Now it depends if you want your collar to enter the zip. Okay, but mine, I want it to stop before the zipper. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my tape like so. Okay, so I'll go ahead and measure neck round. Okay, like so. Okay, so what I have here is 11.5. Now 11.5, remember that this is on fold, so 11.5 times 2, that will give us 23. Okay, now we'll go ahead and add half inch for the turnings. Okay, so that will give us, that's we'll add 1 inch for the turning, which is half inch on each side. Okay, so that will give us 24. So we'll go ahead and fold our fabric on bias, okay, and cut out. Okay, so let's go ahead and mark our collar. Okay, now remember that our collar round, our neck round plus the allowance of 1 inch, that's 24. Okay, so we'll be marking half of that, which is 12. Now this side will be the unfold side. Okay, this side is unfold. Now let's proceed. I want the height of the collar to be 4.25. Okay, 4.25. Okay, now go ahead and mark out my 4.25. Okay, now I'll rule a straight line. Okay, like so. Now remember that our neck round is 20 plus their 1 inch allowance is 24. Now half of that is 12. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a mark at the 12. Okay, I also make a mark at the 12 here. Okay, now the edge of the collar, that's at the very tip, I want it to be slanted a bit. Okay, so I'll first go ahead and connect this straight line. Okay, now I want it to be slanted a bit. Okay, so I'll come out this way. Okay, now let's measure. So what I have here is 1 inch. Okay, so I came out by 1 inch. Okay, so this is my collar. Let me highlight it. Okay, so this is it. I'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay, well, remember that on our fabric we're going to place it on fold. Okay, to cut out. Okay, so this is my collar. I'll go ahead and fold my fabric bias shape. Okay, then I'll cut that out. I'll show us. Let's proceed. Now I went ahead to cut the other side of this. Remember, we had cut out just one side and I put the unfold sign. Okay, so I decided to cut it out. Okay, so it's now the full length of 24 is what we have here now. Okay, okay, so what we have here now is 24. Now to fold your fabric on bias, okay, this is the way the fabric is. Now you fold it like a slight triangle just to have a stretch here. Okay, to have a stretch. That's the essence of the bias. Okay, now the lower part is going to be on fold. Okay, so, and we will also add 0.5 joining allowance, okay, to this. That's at this top part, the parts that will be joining to the neckline. We'll go ahead and add 0.5 to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and pin this down. Okay, so I'm done pinning. Now I'll go ahead and add my 0.5 at this top part. Okay, for the joining to the neckline. Now I'll go ahead and cut. Okay, so here we have it. The collar is ready. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and place hairstay. Okay, one layer on this. So here we have it. Now I'll go ahead and place my hairstay, okay, on it because it's too light. Now I want to make use of one layer. Okay, so I'll go ahead and iron down my interfacing before I will use it. Okay, and that's it. We will proceed with the joining. Okay, Okay, so this is the collar. Okay, so I've ironed down my hairstay. Okay, now I'll take it to the sewing machine and join the sides only using 0.5, okay, allowance that we had earlier left. Okay, then I'll turn it and give it a good press. Now the main fabric we're going to join using 0.5. We're going to join the shoulders only using 0.5. Okay, so we'll turn it like this. Okay, I'll take it to the sewing machine and join the shoulders using 0.5 and using 0.5 too. I'll do the same for on the lining as well. I'll join the shoulders using 0.5 and I'll press it. Okay, then I'll come back and show us how to attach the collar. I'm done joining it on the shoulders. I went ahead to press it open. You can see that it's laying flat. Okay, I did the same on the lining as well. I've joined the shoulders. Now it's time for us to join the collar. Okay, so I went ahead to top stitch it. Okay, then I pressed it. Now we'll fold it into two so that we can get the center. Okay, now we'll notch it. Now we also need to get the center of the front. Okay, then you notch it. Now we're going to align the two centers. Okay, we will align the center of the collar to the center of the front. Okay, and we will pin. Now we're going to pin it all the way around. Okay, so I'm done pinning. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is to get the lining. Okay, we'll get the lining and we'll simply place the lining on top of it. Okay, now we're placing it right sides facing each other. Okay, like so. So you go ahead and pin. Okay, so I'm done pinning the lining. Okay, so we have the collar in the middle of the main fabric and the lining. Okay, so this is the wrong side. I'm going ahead to mark my 0.5 round. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stitch on this 0.5. Okay, then after I'm done, I will also stitch the armhole using 0.5 allowance that we added. Okay, so I'll stitch the neckline, then I'll stitch the armhole 0.5. Okay, make sure you push your collar right in. Okay, in by the shoulder. I'll do the same here. I'll push the collar in when I'm done stitching, then I'll also stitch on the shoulder, on the armhole, okay, using 0.5. Then I'll give it a notch, or you can trim if that's what you want, and I'll turn it and show us. Okay, so I'm done stitching around the neckline. Now I left 1 inch before the zip line. Okay, so that when I'm done fixing my zip, I'll come back and finish up. Did the same on this side as well. So I've stitched the sides. Okay, so I also went ahead to trim. So what I have left is about 0.25. Now let's go ahead and turn. Now this is from the front. You put your hand in between the shoulder and pull this back in. Okay, you do that gently. Then we also pull the other side of the back. Okay, and here we have it. And here we have it. I'll go ahead and give it a good press. Okay, now the next thing for us to do is to mark our side seam. Remember when we were cutting, we added In my pattern I added 1.5 sewing allowance. Let's mark our 1.5 sewing allowance. I'll go ahead and place it, aligning these two armholes. Okay, then I'll go ahead and stitch on this line. I'll do the same on the other side, then I'll give it a good press and show us. Okay guys, so I'm done turning it. Okay, so I'd like to point some things out for us. Now, first of all, our collar, remember that when we cut out 4.5, okay, and we used 0.5 to join. Okay, now when I finished, the collar was a bit too wide, so I went ahead to loosen it and reshaped. Okay, so the length, okay, so I reduced it to 3.5. okay, so I only took out 0.5. now I reduced it to 4 and I used ½ inch to join. So what I have left now is 3.5. okay, and I think it looks better. Okay, I think it looks better now. Okay, so and when I took off the collar, I also went ahead to iron down paper stay, because you know that this is velvet and it stretches a lot. Okay, so I ironed down, I used the opportunity to iron down my paper stay, okay, on the velvet. Okay, so I don't have anything on the lining, I only ironed down the paper stay on the velvet. You can use any interfacing that is within your reach. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out so that we don't I don't go ahead with the video without letting you know what I did behind the scene, you know. Okay, so please subscribe if you have not. Okay, just do it now, click on the subscribe button. Okay, and all right, so let's move forward. Now we're done with this. Okay, and okay, so for the lower part, the lower part is going to have a little bit of train. Okay, now her waist is 25, and we're going to add 2 inches, okay, extra. Now if you don't want any form of pleat, just go ahead and do your waist circumference divided by 6.28. You'll find out that you will surely have an excess that will take care of the zip allowance. Okay, but I want a little bit of pleat just so it will be more full. Okay, so I'm going ahead to I'll add 2 inches to her waist circumference, and that will give us 27. Now 27 over 6.28 will give you 4.2. okay, so we'll go ahead and fold this and we'll cut out. Okay, so let's cut the lower part. Okay, so the first thing you do is to fold the fabric into 2. Now this fabric is by 60. Okay, so we're folding into 2 first, like so. So it's into 2 now. Now we need to fold into 4. So we need to fold it into 4. Okay, like I'm doing now. So I'll go ahead and mark my radius of 4.25. Okay, so my radius is ready. Okay, so her front length, let's make it 30.5. okay, so front length is 30.5. okay, now we'll take it back to the tip. Okay, so I'll take my tape back to the tip. Okay, now to that 30.5 I measured, that is 35. okay, now I will keep marking my 35 this way, but as I progress I will be adding a little. So what I have here is 35.25. you just keep increasing it a little. Okay, just gradually. I'll mark 35.5 here. So I'll go ahead and connect this. So I'm done connecting the top part. Now for the back, okay, mind you, this is the center front and this is the center back. Okay, so for the back, remember we want a little train. Okay, so I'll first go ahead and mark the actual length, 31. Okay, now I will add 6 inches, just a little train. Okay, plus it's for a child, so I'm adding 6 inches to this. Okay, that is 37. Okay, now I'll go ahead and take my tape back to the tip. Okay, and what I have there is 41.5. Now for the downside, as it's coming this way, is reducing. Okay, remember that for the top side, this shorter part, as we were going the other way, to the other end, the number was increasing, but for the lower side it will be reducing. Okay, so what we have here now is 41.5. You can mark the same here. Now as we're increasing, as we're going there, over there, it will be reducing. So we can mark, then we'll mark 37, then we'll mark 40.75. We'll just be reducing it gradually. Okay, we can mark 40.5 now. Okay, so we can mark 39.5 here. Okay, then we have 39 here, so 38, like that. Okay, so you go ahead and just use your free hand and connect it. So the underlying principle is simply for the top part, as you're moving, okay, it's increasing, the number is increasing to this point. For the lower part, which is the train side, as you're coming towards this side, the number is reducing. Okay, so that's the principle. So I'll go ahead now and cut. Now I can move my fabric this way because I have it pinned. But in cutting, please pay attention. We're not cutting the two together. We'll raise and cut just the top part. Okay, this one, can you see I'm raising it up? So we're cutting the top part first. Okay, I just discovered that we have the markings of the lower part a bit on the top part. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut the lower part first. Okay, so the lower side is out. Now we can go ahead and cut out the top. Okay, remember what I told us, I'm raising it up, I'm not cutting the two of them together. Okay, so it's out of the way. Now I'll take out the radius. Okay, before you open, you need to notch. Okay, and that's it. So it's time for us to, I'll remove the pins. Now I joined the fabric, okay, because it was not up to the length, so I joined the fabric and I pressed it. So this is what we have. Okay, now this is it. Your notches are your guide. This is my center front. Okay, so this is how it's going to drape on the child. Okay, can you see the way it's dropping to the back? Don't worry, when we are done, you guys will see it very well. Okay, so remember, we're opening the center back because that's where the zip is going to go in. Okay, now we'll go ahead and cut, but in cutting, be careful, we're cutting only the center back. Okay, which is where we'll be fixing our zip. Okay, and here we have it. Now the center back is open, so that's it. I'll go ahead and take off my pins, and that's it for this. Okay, now we're going to be gathering this net inside. Okay, so in my previous video I showed us how I cut my tulle net. Okay, now this is 7 years of net. Okay, I'll go ahead and divide it into two. So I'll have 3.5 yards and 3.5 yards. Now I'll go ahead, out of each 3.5, fold it, then I will mark out from her waist to her full length. Now remember, her full length here is 31, okay? But for the net, I don't want the net to be to the floor as well. So I'll make the length of the net 30. I'll go ahead and cut them and I'll show us. I've separated the net, I've divided it into two. This is 3.5 yards and this is 3.5 yards, okay? Now for the folding, like I explained to us in my previous video, okay, you fold lengthwise. So you take one and we're folding lengthwise, okay? So this is the entire length like this. We'll go ahead and first fold into two, okay? We're folding towards the length, towards the 3.5 inches length, okay? And not the width, because the width is 60, okay? So you first fold into two, then we'll fold again. We're folding to the barest minimum, okay? And as usual, you know what next I will do? I'll pin. I'll go ahead and measure out my 30 inches, okay? Now cut it out. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take off my pins, okay? Place these two together and gather them, okay? Or you can pleat, either way. Now I'll do the same on the other piece of net as well. Fold it to the barest minimum like this. Measure out my 30 inches and cut out. Place the two together and also gather, okay? Then when we are done gathering, we're simply going to attach it to the waist round of this, okay? We'll be attaching it to the upper bodice. Then for the lining as well, so we don't make the video that longer than necessary. Okay, so for the lining, we're cutting a 180 degrees flare. I showed us how to cut that in my previous video, okay? So I will go ahead and gather this, stitch it to this by the waistline, attach it to the main fabric, okay? Then cut out my 180 degrees flare and attach it to this lining, okay? And fix my zip, and that will be it. I'll show us the beautiful dress. Okay, so for our bow, the length is 23 inches by 8 inches, okay, which is on fold. Now I'll go ahead and fold it into two, then I'll stitch on the sides, just leaving a little space for turning, okay? Now for the tie, okay, I have two pieces there, and each of them is measuring 25 inches, okay, that's the length, by 7.5 inches wide, okay? So we're going to mark. Now at the top part I marked out 4 inches, and at the lower part I marked out 6.5, okay? Now at that point I went up by 4 inches and connected. Then I'm going to sew along the marked lines. I'll repeat the same on the other fabric, on the other piece, okay, as well. Now this is a tiny piece I'll be using to wrap the tie to the bow, okay, when we are done turning them. Now I'll take these pieces to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm done turning them. Now for the bow, after I turned it, I joined it into two, okay, as you can see. Now for the ties, I've joined them, and then the other side is the only part that is open. Now I'm going to put one into the other, okay, and I'll stitch it so that we'll have a single piece at the end. Now I'll do this and show us. Okay, so I'm done joining the ties, like I explained to us. Now it's time for us to form our bow, and to do that, we'll simply form a gentle pleat at the center of the bow, and using your thread, okay, you tie it gently at that point. Then you get your tie and place it under the bow that you just pleated and tied, okay. Then you continue with that thread, and you tie the your tie, okay, to the bow gently, because you still need to adjust it afterwards, okay. Then after that, you just knot it and cut. And as you can see,
our bow tie is ready. Then we'll get that tiny piece and using your needle and thread as well, and just gently join it at the back, okay, so that you the rough edges are concealed. And that's it, guys. Our bow tie is ready. I'll go ahead and stitch my press button, okay, because this is a detachable bow. So I'll go ahead and stitch my press button to this, and I'll also stitch it on the body of the dress at the back, okay, and I'll show us the final look. All right, guys, so this is it. The dress is beautiful, okay, and this is it on the mannequin. It's a lovely dress, okay, and I'd like you guys to try this out and tell me what you think, okay. Kindly subscribe to my channel. You can like and share the videos. If you don't have your question, you can leave a remark. You know, this goes a long way to encourage me. All right, guys, so I'll see you in my next video. Bye.